Monday Report with Trevor Ombija.
Hello there, just in time for the Monday Report, live from the Dedan Kimathi University of Technology right here in Nyeri. Later on, we'll have a conversation on the climate change effects. Now, the scientists say that this year, 2024, is likely going to be the hottest year in history. But are we ready for the effects of climate change? That's a conversation we'll be having later on here with my guest, His Excellency Mutahi Kahiga, the Governor for Nyeri. Frederick Kinyua will be here, CEC Water and Irrigation, Nyeri County, and Kamuya Wangarwa, a clan elder and a leader from Nyeri County. He tells me that they'll be conducting some rituals in regard to climate change. We'll see how culture and science marry together at a time when devastating climate change effects are happening right now. And Grace Kimaru, also climate change advocate and founder and Foster Green CBO. That's a conversation we're having later on right here at the Dedan Kimathi University of Technology in Nyeri. But first, our top stories tonight. Judiciary heads to State House. President Ruto and Chief Justice Kome meet and pledge to respect the rule of law. Race against time. Health Ministry publishes Health Insurance Fund regulations ready for public participation as it sets March for deductions start date. Poor Form 1 enrollment. More than 300,000 learners yet to report to Form 1 a week after reporting date. Kenyans in crisis. Infotrack poll shows that more than 50% of Kenyans are struggling to make ends meet. Thank you so much for tuning in. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Yula Nzale. So we begin at the State House in Nairobi, where the contentious meeting between President William Ruto and Chief Justice Martha Koome took place today, with the heads of the three arms of government pledging to promote the independence of institutions as aspired in the Constitution. But a statement from State House gave no indication as to whether the specifics of the relentless attacks on the judiciary by President William Ruto were discussed, particularly his repeated allegations that judges were sabotaging projects of his government. Chemutai Goin has more.
As Father, to work together for the benefit and the interest of the people of Kenya.
As has become the norm at State House, President William Ruto offered the opening word of prayer, then began a contentious meeting that had been preceded by hostile rhetoric, with President Ruto leading weeks of a ceaseless assault on a judiciary he called corrupt. And so they gathered in a semi-formal horseshoe formation, with President Ruto positioned at the head of the half-circle, giving the sitting arrangement an ironic arrowhead tip. Attorney General Justin Muturi, Solicitor General Shadrach Mose, and Interior CS Professor Kithure Kindiki joined President Ruto in the executive attendance list. Speaker Moses Wetangula and the National Assembly clerk took the roll call for the legislature, while Chief Justice Martha Koome, Deputy Chief Justice Philomena Mwilu, and the Acting Chief Registrar Paul Ndemo represented the judiciary. The meeting took place behind closed doors, with a statement pointing out that the gathering was convened in response to a request of the judiciary to deliberate on approaches to fight corruption and facilitate a seamless delivery of services to Kenyans. According to the statement, President Ruto said there will be no sacred cows, whether in the executive, judiciary or legislature, in the fight against corruption. The statement did not, however, shed any more light on the pronouncement that preceded the meeting, some of them that had questioned decisions of judges and rulings of the law courts.
We support the independence of the judiciary, but corrupt judicial officials working with those who vested interests that are benefiting from money stolen from NHIF, who want to perpetuate judicial tyranny and judicial impunity. We will deal with them. We will fight with them. We will not allow them. They will not go far.
He might have received reports because we have the various machineries and agencies that are charged with the responsibility of collecting information. And we would like to engage him so that he can give us that information. Because we all have a responsibility of solving our problems in this country. We all recognize corruption is endemic, it is a problem, it is unacceptable, it is condemned, it is actually a criminal offense.
The 4.5 hours long meeting said to be reportedly cordial, with participants acknowledging that corruption had permeated all the arms of government, threatening the much-needed transformation of the country.
Watu wachache, wawili watatu, wameenda kotini, wakahongana kotini, mpango hiyo ikasimamishwa. Barabara ikasimamishwa, universal health coverage inasimamishwa, mambo ya housing inasimamishwa. Lazima tuulizane, lazima tuwe na mjadala.
At the meeting, this was seemingly not mentioned, as the corruption allegation was distributed not just to the judiciary, but all arms of government. A resolution reached that within 30 days, each arm of government submit proposals to the National Council of the Administration of Justice, which brings together all players in the criminal justice system on short-term, medium-term and long-term measures to deal with the vice. The president is also said to have committed to respect the rule of law, despite his initial threat to defy orders he said was sabotaging government programs, pushing the Chief Justice to sound a warning that such actions would result in anarchy and a constitutional crisis. The statement was also silent on the question of decisional independence by judges, but instead indicated a promise of goodies through the appointment of more judges and an increase in the judiciary's budgetary allocation. Presumably based on CJ Koome's wish list, the executive and the legislature pledged to facilitate the recruitment of 25 additional judges of the High Court, recruitment of 11 new judges of the Court of Appeal, and also channel resources towards vehicle leasing program to facilitate its transport needs. After weeks of constant shelling from the executive, the judiciary walked through the open gates of State House today to a meeting that was broad on generalities but shy of specifics. The issues in contention were seemingly avoided if the official statement is anything to go by. No mention of bribery or sabotage, as State House and the judiciary settled for a rather ambiguous ceasefire statement. Chemutai Goin, Citizen TV.
Meanwhile, opposition leaders have questioned the agenda of the State House meeting, which they say risks eroding the independence of the judiciary. Azimio leader Raila Odinga is accusing the judiciary of compromising its role and threatening the country's democracy by agreeing to a meeting at State House, as Martin Munene reports.
Opposition Supremo Raila Odinga has condemned the meeting between the Chief Justice and President William Ruto, saying it erodes judicial independence. Odinga, speaking in Lamu County, any meeting between the President, if it must happen, should not be at the seat of the executive.
State House is the head of the executive, the seat of the executive. That's where the President will decide. If there's going to be a dialogue over issues of governance, should be held in a neutral ground.
According to Odinga, the meeting between the Chief Justice and the President will reverse against made and will bring the country back to old dark days when the President had control over the judiciary.
But this means that the judiciary itself is being compromised by the executive. The judiciary is being held hostage by the executive. And we've seen this before. We saw it happen under the rule of Mr. Moi. And we have tried to caution the current Chief Justice not to go to bed with the executive.
Odinga calling on individual judges to stand against any attempts to sway their decision-making.
And we hope that the rest of members of the judiciary are not going to be compromised. We want the judges to remain firm and do their work in accordance with the law and the constitution of our country.
Siaya Governor James Orengo also reading from the same script. While speaking in Jem in Siaya County, the senior counsel condemning the meeting, saying it erodes the judicial independence.
She should learn from Maraga Maraga was never intimidated. And he didn't plead for meetings with the president. The president is not above the law.
Orengo further stating that an independent judiciary is critical in the interest of democracy.
Any nation in the world that does not have an independent judiciary, whether you have the Pope as president, you cannot be able to have a truly democratic country. The independence of the judiciary is sacrosanct.
Martin Monene, Citizen TV.
Now, Kenyans could start contributing to the Social Health Authority programs by March this year. The Ministry of Health has set in motion a series of events to fast-track formulation and approval of regulation that will culminate in the operationalization of the Health Authority and the health funds. Public participation for the authority commences tomorrow. Brenda Wanga has more.
In the wake of the lifting of the court orders against implementation of the Social Health Insurance Act 2023, the Ministry of Health has set the ball rolling with the opening up the space for public participation on the regulations that will guide the implementation of the Act. In a statement, Health CS Susan Nahomicha is asking members of the public to present their views on the two sets of regulations, either through written memoranda or through physical and virtual meetings that will be held for this purpose. The ministry is seeking views on the Social Health Insurance General Regulations 2024, which will provide for the implementation of the Primary Healthcare Fund, the Social Health Insurance Fund, and the Emergency, Chronic and Critical Illness Fund, and the Social Health Insurance Dispute Resolution Tribunal Regulations 2024. The public is also expected to give their views on the draft regulatory impact statement. The regulations are amended to address the matters that landed the ministry in court, which now state that every person living in Kenya will be required to register as a member of the Social Health Insurance Fund for purposes of sub-regulation. This registration will begin 90 days after the regulations come into force, entitling every person living in Kenya to access healthcare services under the Primary Healthcare Fund.
We have worked with the team, Your Excellency. Now we are clear on what is the benefit as soon as you make your payment. What is it that you are entitled to?
The new regulations have maintained the deductions for salaried employees at 2.75% per month, while unsalaried households will pay 2.75% of their income per year based on the assessment of their status through the means testing instruments that take into account housing characteristics, access to basic services, household composition, and other social economic aspects of the households under review. The least amount payable to the fund will be 300 shillings. The collections will be made through the CS for Treasury at the national level and the CEC for Treasury activities at the county level. The regulations do not address the issue of capping of contributions and is one of the issues that the public will be expected to give their views on in the next 3 weeks.
Pamoja na rais tumetengeneza sheria, utakuwa unalipa 2.75%.
The ministry will hope to compile and finalize the analysis of the feedback from the public, prepare a report on the same, and present it for approval from both the National Assembly and the Senate Health Committee before gazettement and finally implementation of the same. This process is estimated to be concluded before March this year, and only then will the government begin deducting the contributions from Kenyans to finance this universal healthcare program under the Social Health Insurance Act. Brenda Wanga, Citizen TV.
As that is happening, majority of Kenyans are in distress, with 73% of Kenyans struggling to make ends meet. That's according to a survey released by InfoTrack. The survey revealed that the dwindling state of the economy has led to increased cases of stress and anxiety among Kenyans, with 18% of Kenyans battling mental health. The report shows that only 5% of Kenyans are able to meet their needs without a struggle.
In the latest survey released by InfoTrack, which focused on the spiraling effects of the cost of living in the country, 73% of Kenyans say they are either in severe financial distress or struggling to make ends meet. 18% of these are in severe financial distress, while 55% are struggling to make ends meet and are forced to ask for assistance from family and friends.
4 regions, that's a half of the country, feel they are really struggling. Of course, the leading being here, Northern Kenya, Northeastern Coast at 76%, Central 74%, and Rift Valley at 73%.
The survey further reveals that 45% of Kenyans have been forced to engage in side hustles to supplement their income, with 41% reducing their expenditure and 18% resorting to taking loans to make ends meet. The adjustment has had a major effect on health and personal relationships. 48% of Kenyans say they have had increased stress and anxiety, while others have experienced strained personal relationships, physical health issues, and mental health challenges.
Most female are taking loans compared to men, 21 vis-a-vis 15%. And also, of course, borrowing also from friends and family. You see, it's the female who are doing a lot more because you need to put food on the table for your family.
It is a situation that majority predict will continue in the year 2024 due to increased taxation affecting those in employment. 48% of Kenyans believe that the cost of living will increase this year. 67% believe school fees will increase, while 51% fear that the cost of energy will be out of reach for most Kenyans. To cope with this, 26% of Kenyans have proposed reduction of the high cost of living, 13% want reduction of fuel prices and creation of employment, with 12% calling for a reduction of cost of education and taxes.
To education matters now, and over 300,000 students are yet to report to Form 1 week after schools began enrolling 2023 KCP candidates into secondary education. Now, statistics issued by the Ministry of Education shows that only 86% of the expected learners have reported to school countrywide. And as Laura Otieno now reports, Education PS Belio Kipsang has launched a nationwide mop-up exercise that will seek to ensure a 100% transition by the end of this week.
Monday morning, and we meet Christian Mungai accompanied by his father. 1 week after his peers reported to school, Christian is still walking across the streets of Nairobi, hoping to get a well-wisher to support his secondary education. Christian, who garnered 378 marks in the 2023 KCPE, was called to Butula Boys High School in Busia County. However, the family has been unable to raise 28,000 shillings to pay for his first term of education at the institution.
Kule ameitwa shule, fees ya mwaka mzima ni shilingi 54,000, na pia kuna baadhi ya vitu zinahitajika, mavazi, matandikio na vitu vingine ambavyo zinastahili atumie mahala pale shuleni. Bali na hayo, kule ameitwa ni mbali.
Christian is among the 336,000 students countrywide who are yet to report for Form 1 enrollment. Out of a total of 1.4 million candidates who sat for 2023 KCPE examinations, only 86% have so far reported to their respective schools. The worst-hit counties being Nyandarua recording a paltry 52%, and the coastal counties of Mombasa, Kwale, Kilifi, Lamu and Tana River with 60%. Education PS Belio Kipsang launching a mop-up exercise that will be scaled up countrywide to ensure a 100% transition by Friday.
We are meeting tomorrow with all our colleagues in the Ministry of Interior so that we can all have a common strategy of making sure that our children are in school. Even today we are going to do a major mop-up with our colleagues in Ministry of Interior to ensure that all our children are in school.
This morning, I think I have a list of about 1,500 where we want to try and find a way of ensuring that, again, that they go to school.
Kirinyaga County recorded 94% transition into secondary school, with Homa Bay County posting 75% transition by Monday. Laura Otieno, Citizen TV.
Let's talk about politics now. In Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition party leader Raila Odinga has allayed fears that the opposition coalition is disintegrating. Speaking in Manda Primary School in Lamu County, Odinga said talk of a collapsing Azimio is wishful thinking. adding that the coalition is united ahead of the crucial meeting on Thursday. Odinga's remarks were echoed by DAP-K party leader Eugene Wamalwa, who says that affiliate parties are now holding individual meetings to strengthen their bases. Stephen Leto has more.
The Azimio leader was quick to dismiss claims of a simmering disquiet within the opposition coalition. He joined his party supporters for the ODM membership recruitment drive in Manda, Lamu County. Odinga affirming that Azimio was intact.
Azimio iko imara. Azimio is remaining united, and Azimio will not break up anytime soon. We are on a course to liberate this country from the tyranny and the responsibility.
According to Odinga, differences in opinion between the Azimio top brass should not be mistaken for a fallout. Soon after the release of the National Dialogue Committee report, fault lines emerged in the opposition as other principals felt so changed in the Bomas dialogue, calling for a total rejection of the report.
I really want our media to be responsible. You don't want media to spread unnecessary and irresponsible propaganda. Nobody has left Azimio. Azimio has remained intact, except a few members of parliament who decided to take a walk.
Raila's remarks come amid reports of a looming fallout in Azimio. Some coalition principals continue to express interest in the presidential seat in 2027 polls. DAP-K party leader Eugene Wamalwa says eventually the coalition will emerge with one presidential candidate to face off with President Ruto.
I got the endorsement of my party to be the presidential flag bearer in 2027, and I'm preparing my bid. We have seen the Wiper leader, Kalonzo Musyoka, also announce his bid. My good brother Wajakoya also on Sunday announced his bid. And others are also urging Mzee Raila Odinga to prepare for the 6th run. So this should not be mistaken for a split in Azimio. In fact, we are preparing. And as I said, we are a democratic movement. And through a very democratic process, we will be able to pick the best flag bearer that will send William Ruto and his Kenya Kwanza government home in 2027.
Wiper National Organizing Secretary and Deputy Minority Leader Robert Mbui says ODM, Wiper, DAP-K and Jubilee remain together in the coalition, even though they are separately engaging their party strongholds to widen the coalition support.
There is always speculation. When you don't see Kalonzo in a function, you start imagining that Kalonzo is no longer working with the team, or you don't see one of the other principals. The fact is that these principals have each got a region to deal with, and each of them has got to build the coalition. For your information, a strong Wiper is as strong as Azimio.
Regional coalition within the region is to, again, get a strong unit which you take to Azimio. It ends up strengthening Azimio. Let me tell you about Kamwene. Kamwene is not a party. It's a forum for leaders from Mount Kenya. And it is actually a spirit of reawakening.
Azimio has called for a meeting on Thursday to take stock of the past year and look into their 2024 strategy as MPs resume from long recess in 2 weeks' time. Stephen Leto, Citizen TV.
Let's talk about Crime Matters 9. 2 Nigerian nationals arrested in connection with the murder and dismemberment of university student Rita Waeni will spend the next 8 days in police custody as police continue to investigate the case. Now, the 2 suspects, William Ovie Opia and John Bull Asibor, who were arrested in Denderu in Kiambu County, were found in possession of a hatchet, a butcher knife, 6 mobile phones, 3 laptops, a Kenyan national ID for Omar Momkwaju Juma. And according to police, the 2 are also in the country unlawfully since Opia's passport is expired, while Asibor does not even have a passport. Detectives are also probing how Opia bought a hatchet from the same online vendor that sold the same weapon to the murder suspect, who is still at large. The suspects who were arraigned before Makadara Law Courts will remain in custody together with the 4 other suspects who were arraigned last week. Still on crime matters, 6 suspects have been arrested in connection to Sunday's shooting of Laikipia rancher Lucy Wamboi Jennings. Laikipia West Sub-County Police Commander Benjamin Muhia says police are trailing more suspects and seeking to nab the weapon used in the shooting incident. Now, the 50-year-old rancher, who is currently receiving treatment in hospital, was waylaid by the assailants as she was on her way to church and was shot at the back of her head and her arm. Now, the Rumuruti business community has condemned the shooting, noting that the victim has been embroiled in court battles with illegal grazers who continue to trespass on the ranch. Residents in the area want the government to deploy more national police reservists to weed out illegal grazers in possession of unlicensed firearms.
Akitaka kutokea anaita boda ndio asijulikane anatokea, na ni haki yake hata kutoka na kwenda kanisa. Sasa leo wakati tumepata hiyo maneno tumesikia huzuni sana na tunaomba serikali sana.
Tunatakiwa kukaa namna gani Rumuruti? Kila wakati tunasumbuliwa kwa nini? Mwaka uliopita hakuna mafuno ilifuniwa katika shamba. Jamii moja ilijihami na ikasimama na ikalisha mashamba ya watu. Tulijaribu kufanya maandamano, tulijaribu kusuguka, lakini serikali ikiitwa iende pale walikuwa wanaambiwa Warundi.
Naomba serikali yetu ya Kenya hii atuokoe, angalia maslahi ya wananchi ya Kenya. Nasikia huzuni sana, kwa hiyo mtoto wangu wako hospitali. Mimi ndio mama yao, sasa nabaki peke yake. Hakuna dada ingine, hiyo ingine ni kiwete. Ni mimi ndio mama ya hiyo watoto.
And on that note, the Monday Report is taking a quick break here at the Dedan Kimathi University of Technology in Nyeri. When we come back, we'll talk about climate change effects and its mitigation, but also, this is what's coming up. Welcome back to the Monday Report. Now, 4 communities out of the 46 ethnic communities in Kenya have the highest number of jobs in the public service. That's according to a report by the government employer, the Public Service Commission. The report showing that the Kikuyu and Kalenjin communities took up more positions in the public service, followed by Kisii and Luo communities, leaving some other smaller communities as either unrepresented, grossly unrepresented, and not represented at all. As Chemutai Goin reports, the public service urged government organizations to revive its hiring framework to ensure that the spirit of inclusion is felt and that persons with disabilities who have seemingly been overlooked are considered.
Though Article 232 of the 2010 Constitution demands that the public service must be representative of the diverse Kenyan communities with adequate and equal opportunity in appointment, training and growth at all levels of the public service, not leaving behind persons with disabilities. Year in, year out, the report of the Public Service Commission continues to display evidence of what could be termed politics of ethnicity and exclusion. In the latest report covering the 2022-2023 financial year, PSC avers that out of the 46 ethnic communities recorded in Kenya, 35 out of 44 had normal representation in the public service. However, there were some that served up a bigger chunk of the cake. Once again, the Kikuyu and Kalenjin communities topped the charts, classified as grossly overrepresented, meaning the numbers exceeded their recorded national size quota, followed closely by Kisii and Luo communities, termed as overrepresented. The Maasai, Turkana, Luya and Mijikenda, on the other hand, not forming part of those with normal representation, as according to PSC statistics, they were underrepresented. The Kenyan Somali community, whose influence is being felt in many parts of the country, was still, however, yet to hit the mark, being classified as grossly underrepresented. At the bottom of the barrel is the Kenyan American and Dahalo communities, who are not represented in the public service. The report also sounding an alarm over the poor representation of persons with disabilities, as the 5% threshold was yet to be met in various government entities. The Commission also reviewed non-competitive appointments made in the 2022-2023 financial year, which saw a little over 1,000 officers recruited, 10 of these representing a paltry 0.8%, being persons with disabilities. The top communities representing between 21.8% and 2.1% being the Kalenjin, Kikuyu, Luo, Luya, Kamba, Meru, Kisii, Maasai, Taita and Mijikenda. The report further showing there were 250 officers appointed as personal staff in the office of the Deputy President and advisors to cabinet secretaries. The breakdown of the communities of origin is, however, not shared. It is also noted that state corporations and sagas accounted for the highest number of officers recruited non-competitively at 466, followed by ministries and state departments with 290 officers. Noting that many organizations were yet to appropriately grasp the principle of non-competitive recruitment, which was now prone to abuse, PSC recommends that all public organizations comply with the requirement of fair competition and merit. The issue of inclusion has been a hot political subject, and despite President William Ruto constantly stating that his administration will not discriminate any part of the country, irrespective of its political choices, it is his deputy's shareholding remarks that dominate conversations, as it insinuates that government-friendly communities will be given the utmost priority. Chemutai Goin, Citizen TV.
And away from that, one person was shot on Sunday dead, while 3 others are nursing gunshot injuries following the latest banditry attack in Morijo area of Samburu North sub-county. In the Sunday evening attack, suspected bandits attacked travelers plying the Maralal-Baragoi route. Now, local leaders led by area governor Lati Lelit have condemned the latest attack, terming it unacceptable. Lelit promised locals he will ensure security is beefed up in the area.
Jana nilikuwa naenda saidi ya Baragoi, nikakutana na bandit na wakatushambulia. Hapo center Morijo. Mmoja akatokea na akaanza kushoot. Akashoot kwa mlango pale nilikuwa nimekaa, akanishoot mguu.
Kuna mmoja aliweza kupoteza maisha yake. Mwili wake ulisafirishwa na ukaletwa katika mahala petu pale pa kusitiri maiti. Katika ile pikapilika kulikuwa na majeruhi 3 ambao walipata risasi. Wote walipata risasi za mguu.
We decided to prepare for a huge road clearance on the left side of the road as you go to Baragoi. All the way to Marti.
To 30 billion shillings. Meanwhile, international accounting firm Crowe has announced the reappointment of Kenyan veteran accountant Erastus Kwaka into the Crowe Global Board of Directors. Kwaka is expected to serve for a second term of 2 years. His appointment into the Global Board is set to broaden foreign investors' understanding of the African market and its financial business flows. Elsewhere, Zandox, a pioneering business-to-business e-commerce platform, has launched its operations here in Nairobi. Zandox aims to reshape the trade landscape by providing a seamless one-stop trading platform, fostering connections and collaborations for businesses on the continent.
By the time we get to December this year, we would like to have 70% of Kenyan manufacturing online.
And finally, Samsung has officially introduced its flagship smartphone series, the Galaxy S24. The new lineup is making headlines for its advanced artificial intelligence features, designed for enhanced photo editing and online search functionalities. With the smartphone market experiencing a period of relative stagnation, Samsung is strategically leveraging AI-powered innovations to bring a fresh dimension to their latest offering.
We are saying we're introducing a new era in the market, where you have an assistant on your phone, you have assistant on your hand, and you can be able to do multiple things with this device. So what we are saying is this: we are the first in the market to incorporate AI with our phone.
Jasmine Wambui, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Post-harvest losses are a major concern among small-scale farmers in Kenya due to, among others, lack of proper storage facilities and a ready market for their produce. To address this, a group of techies came up with a platform that links their farmers to available storage facilities and allows them to exchange agricultural commodities and obtain collateral-based loans. Edward Chwea tells us how Radava Mercantile is now revolutionizing smallholder farming in 4 counties.
In Kenya, brought to you by Equity. Receive payments for your business conveniently through the One Equity Till number. Get one for free today at any Equity branch or call 0763 000 000. No sign-up fee, no commissions charged. Payments go directly to your account. Endeleza your biashara. biashara with one equity till number.
Growing up, Josephine Adeti and her colleagues saw farmers in their area struggle to make profits from their farm produce. In 2021, they founded Radava Mercantile, an online platform that links small-scale farmers to registered warehouses to store their agricultural commodities.
We basically help farmers to access well-equipped storage facilities. These are warehouses where they can store their grains and cereals. And we enable them to access those warehouses, store their produce, and while it's stored, we also look for a good market for them. Now, through our platform, we have a platform that is basically a commodity exchange platform where people can trade and invest in agricultural commodities. We work in partnership with existing warehouses, so they're both private and public warehouses. So the public ones are generally the ones which are run by the National Cereals and Produce Board.
At the storage facilities, the farmers are issued with the warehouse receipts. Those who have been onboarded on Radava Mercantile upload the receipts and potential buyers are able to find them.
So when you go with that receipt to lending institutions, you can get loans of up to 60% of the value of produce. And then too, you can exchange it, commodity exchange. The ownership of that receipt can transfer from one person to the other. And then now when the ownership transfer, you also own those goods. So you can withdraw from any of the warehouses.
Radava Mercantile mostly onboards farmers through cooperative societies and groups. Today, the venture has onboarded 1,400 farmers, majority of them in the counties of Bungoma, Trans Nzoia and Uasin Gishu.
We also conduct capacity building sessions, so we train farmers on financial literacy, how they can make a season calendar, and also how they can store their reduced post-harvest losses. Our service is the facilitation, from the farm gate, from the farmer's farm gate to the warehouse, and then from the warehouse to the final consumer. But also the farmer has the option of bringing the produce themselves to the warehouse and then giving us the power to market it.
Wakulima wengi wanaweka mahindi kwa store, weevils inaingia inaharibu. Alafu tena kuna panya, a lot of pests. Kwa hivyo mtu akiweka kwa warehouse receipt system inawekwa safely, na wakati ya bei kuja mzuri mkulima anapata pesa yake.
Radava Mercantile charges between 5 to 10% of the transaction fee as a way of making profits. Unlike in other warehouses, where a farmer is required to store at least 50 bags, the venture has struck an arrangement with partner storage facilities to accommodate farmers with fewer bags.
For the commodity exchange platform, we charge 5% transaction fee, but also there are traders and off-takers who might want to just directly take the grains and cereals from the warehouse without having to go through a lot of, just take it directly. So those ones we charge add a markup cost 10%. If a farmer has 10 bags, we can resource pool and help them to store in that warehouse. And so every farmer can participate.
Radava Mercantile hopes the government can address some challenges such as policies and lack of proper infrastructure to reach farmers in remote areas.
In Kenya, the whole country, there are less than 10 certified warehouses. Some of the farmers are in very remote areas. We are targeting to reach out to at least 500,000 farmers, but specifically in Kenya, the geographic area that we are serving, and there's also potential of expanding to other nations by working in partnership with the warehouses in those countries.
Edward Choya, Made in Kenya, Citizen TV.
Made in Kenya, brought to you by